What's going on, everyone? Moose here, Airguns in Michigan, and today I am super stoked to be joined by my good buddy JC of Airgun Detectives, and we are going to talk all kinds of airgun stuff. It's going to be a great evening, and I'm really super stoked. So, dude, thanks for joining me, man. I definitely.
Oh no, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. We, I do this. I do this 5 nights a week. Monday through Friday, yep, 8:30 p.m. I used to do it on Instagram, and Instagram's cool. It's got its pros because you can show air guns on Instagram Live. YouTube kind of frowns on it a little bit, but it is what it is. It's today's society. They don't want firearms being shown on the videos, and I don't think that they're cronies that look at what's going on know the difference between an air gun and a firearm.
Unfortunately, I've experienced that almost on every one of my videos, because some videos you'll put out and you'll get them monetized and some you won't. I had literally 2 identical videos, and I can't remember what the guns were. The only thing different was the style of the stock. One was approved for monetization and the other wasn't. But usually they're all initially denied, and then you have to put in to have a human viewer. And then I think it's just so subjective. It just depends who it gets in front of.
Right. It almost feels like you have to have like a disclaimer in the beginning of your video.
Yeah.
Or you have to physically say something like, hey, my video is not showing a firearm. This is an air gun. This uses.
And I've done that. And I put it in the comments, and same results. There's no rhyme or reason. Some are approved, some are not. 90% of them are not approved. They just say it's a firearm. And then I'll explain to them the difference between a firearm and an air gun, which an air gun, as we all know, you got to be 18, and you can pretty much purchase any type of air gun through the mail. I mean, that's just what it is. An air gun, it's not even in the same category. But I would go through that and I would get the same response back. Using a firearm in an unsafe manner. Like, really?
What's unsafe about it?
I said, I have a range set up at my house. I says, I've got more firearm instructions than probably the average bear could ever even imagine. And training classes and everything that I've been through. And it's always about being safe. That's what we want. We want to have fun and be safe.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, well, that's a whole battle all on its own. But I'm just glad we at least have this platform where we can chat and we can actually show our air guns, and because let's face it, it's a great hobby.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, let me tell you, there is like so much enjoyment for me when it comes to air guns. Whether it's I'm working on them or whether I'm just plinking or cleaning or thinking about them or imagining them or anything else. It's always
or tuning or any of the above.
Tuning, absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, it just is what it is. And personally, I mean, I owe you a debt of gratitude because it's guys like you that seriously, when COVID first hit and I started thinking about man, what am I going to do to fill my time? And, my son was getting older and, and I was kind of like, I mean, maybe air guns is the way to go. And I'd been into them prior to that. But, I started really watching like, dude, I binged watched your channel for a weekend. I was laid up in bed. Yeah, listen, I was laid up in bed with a bout of gout. And I get gout, something fierce. So I'm laid up in bed and I got nothing to do, and I'm flipping on the TV and I'm getting tired of watching all the garbage that I've seen a million times.
Oh yeah.
So I hit YouTube, and I was already a subscriber, but I just went back to like almost the beginning of all your videos.
And yeah, you can see a massive improvement since the beginning. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, just started literally binge watching all your videos, and and it was through doing that and guys like 68 Whiskey and Shooter 1721 and Cyclops Joe, and just a lot of you fellas out there that I started thinking, man, I could do this. And so I just want to thank you, man. I mean, you've been a great friend, man. I mean, honestly, like I can't thank you enough for just all the conversations that we've had.
I have to say the same about you, Moose. You're an outstanding individual, and it's my pleasure to know you. I can tell you.
I appreciate it, and one of these days we'll get together.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Especially as things are relaxing more with this whole COVID stuff and the way that's going. But it's funny is people always ask me. They said, "Why are you so into air guns?" Because with your law enforcement background, what have you, you have access to the range and rounds usually, and I can pretty much go anytime I want. The difference is I can walk right into my backyard and start shooting here. I don't have to pack up my things and head to a range or what have you. I have my own range at home, and it's just fantastic.
Right. And not only that, but listen, I mean, I can take my bench rest gun to the range and shoot 300 rounds, and it costs me like $33. As to where you try to shoot 300 rounds of AR ammo, and you can add a 0 or 2 to the end of that.
No, I was saying you're looking at $300. You're looking at $1 a round minimum.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I used to buy 9mm rounds for about $10 a box. We're at the range of the police range; they would give them to us, but they were averaging about $10 a box. They're now close to $50 a box. They're about $1 a round for 9mm, unheard of. Yep. So our alternative is, and I think I've done a couple of videos with this. You can actually train with some of these CO2s and these air guns, just like a real firearm, because everything is based on muscle memory. It's what you do. It's repetitions, repetitions, repetitions. In fact, in the police academy, one of the things they taught us a lot when we're going through the different exercises, it was always in and out of the holster, in and out of the holster. And you kind of wondered initially because you're new and you're going, why are they having us go in and out of the holster so much? They want to develop that muscle memory. Because that way, if you ever get in a critical situation, and I did, and you don't even think about how you're going to react. It's just automatic. It's automatic. And that's what happens when you keep training and repetition and repetition.
Right.
In fact, years ago, there was a shootout in Northern California with the Highway Patrol. And a couple of CHP officers were actually killed in the shootout. It was a bank robbery and a couple of things. Well, after the scene, they went and examined it, and they found expended rounds in these officers' pockets. They were using revolvers because at the range, how they were training them is, we need to save that brass for reload, so don't drop it, put it in your pocket. So what do you think these guys were doing in a shootout? So it was taken away from whatever they were doing, and they were putting brass in their pockets. But these are just little lessons they've learned over the years, and it's how training's involved.
Right.
It's kind of interesting. So it's all about muscle memory. But anyway.
Right. I can't even imagine. So we've got a few guys in, man. Thanks. Most of these guys are my regulars that watch.
You're loyal. Yes, you're loyal.
Yeah. And a lot of guys watch later on at night, or they'll watch tomorrow morning, on their way to work or while they're at work. But, listen, man, like I said, I really appreciate you joining me. And, when we were talking about, hey, what do we want to talk about? I just figured, for our first event, hopefully you'll join me again.
Absolutely.
Why don't you, I know kind of part of the story. I mean, I've picked it up through talking with you in chats and stuff. But tell us, what got you into this?
Yeah, so I'll tell everybody how I got into this. And it's pretty simple story for the most part. My very first pellet gun was that little Benjamin Franklin, that 137. And last week I displayed it on that review on the 392. That was my dad's gun when he was much younger. And, my late father, I should say. But anyway, he claims he used to shoot rabbits with that. And I'm like, okay. And he had that when I was a kid. In fact, I remember having we had a rattlesnake in our garage. It was behind one of those big freezers. And I remember him taking that out and shooting the rattlesnake with that. So I was really intrigued with guns just as a little kid. I mean, started with cap pistols, the whole bit. And then I was getting to the age, and I was pretty young. I would say I was under 10 years old. and he started having me shoot. My dad was into guns. He was a big hunter. He had quite a few different guns. But the first very gun I was ever exposed to was that 137. And I really just enjoyed shooting. It was such a challenge. There's something about it. And the guys that shoot, you know about it. There's just that thing about it. So anyway, as time progressed, one time I was looking at this Boys Life magazine. I wasn't even a Boy Scout. Someone had given me the magazine or what have you. And this is in the 70s. And I saw this Daisy Powerline rifle. The new model's the 880. I don't know what it was called back then. I can't even remember. But I looked at that gun. It showed it with a scope, and it was a nice little ad. I looked. It's one of those things you just open that magazine every day. Now, keep in mind, we didn't have internet. We didn't have any of that stuff. You know that, Moose, way back when. So it was magazines was just everything. That's where you saw this cool stuff. I wanted that rifle so bad. I was trying to figure out a way that I was going to be able to buy it or what have you. So I remember going to my dad and my mom, little Sally, and I said, "Oh my God, would there be any way I might be able to get something like this for Christmas?" And of course, my dad says, "Absolutely not. There's no way you're going to get that." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'll figure something else out." But I would just look at that magazine. I'm telling you, every day I wanted that rifle so bad. And sure enough, Christmas morning shows up, and guess what? I got the rifle. My dad surprised me, and I got that rifle. And oh my God, did I love shooting that. You know, you pump it up 10 times, and you know, shooting the pellets and the BBs, and you know, I'd get together with the guys in the neighborhoods, because you got to remember, back then we had Daisy, very few Benjamins, very few, because they were kind of the more expensive, and you had Crossman. That was about it. And then you had your Sheraton, but those were your major ones. We didn't have all the stuff that we do nowadays. So we were very limited. I remember the Crossman 760s were big. That was kind of the competition for the Daisy 880. Same type of thing. We didn't have brake barrels. They weren't invented. Everything we had, you had to pump them up. And we did have a few CO2 pistols. We had a few of those too. Or the pump up, like the Benjamin pistol that I had.
Yep.
So I remember we used to do all kinds of things. We tried to put pellets in backwards to see if maybe it'd make a bigger hole. And you try to experiment with all that stuff. So I was really into guns. And then as I got older, I got my first 22 rifle. And then I remember on I think it was my 18th birthday, my dad got me a Dan Wesson 357. And I was just absolutely excited about that. So I was into guns, huge into guns. Of course, like a fool, I had to sell that when I first entered the police academy, because no one had a lot of money at that time at all. And I really wanted to get a SIG 226 to carry at work, because they were issuing, I think Ruger P85s at the time. And I didn't want that. I wanted something, because that was going to be my survival weapon. That's the thing that could save my life. And it actually did at some point. I can tell you guys that story a little later if you like. But so anyway, so I was totally into guns, still into air guns a little bit. And I remember my next major purchase of an air gun was in the very early 90s. I bought my very first brake barrel. I still have it. I'm going to feature it one of these days. It's the Gamo 220 Hunter, right? Wood stock, spring piston, pretty powerful, like 1,000 feet per second with the 177, and actually a fairly accurate gun. So I was into that for a while. And so I did a lot of shooting with that in the backyard. And I still had the little Benjamin pistol. I would shoot that. Got a couple little CO2s in between there. And then what happened is about 10 or 12 years ago, I really started getting into air guns, really. And then it kept getting just big. And then it almost was like an addiction. I was buying a new gun every month. I'd work overtime and I would get this one and this one would come out. And then, of course, the PCPs, I had to get some PCP rifles. So I have a few Pistons, 25 caliber. I got the what's the big PCP, the 35 caliber one. It was a Carnivore or something. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I still have that one. I'll have to review it sometime because it's pretty amazing. So then all of a sudden I started getting all these guns. And then what do I do when I'm getting these guns? Oh, let's go to YouTube and look at the different reviews on these different guns. Oh, I need to own that one. I need to buy that one. And it was just kind of exciting, all the different ones. And then I really like the replica pistols too, because those were fun to shoot.
Oh, listen, not to cut you off, but you know, one of these days you owe me a lot of money because I have a huge replica handgun collection because of you.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
I mean, I have like a ton of replica handguns, and it's your fault.
Yeah, it is my fault. But let me tell you, it's also the fault of some of these other guys on YouTube that I used to see these guns and go, ooh, I'd really like to own that one. And if you guys don't know, I love 1911s. Okay. I love the 1911 style. I pretty much have every 1911 CO2 and airgun out there. In fact, I'll do one of these days, I'm going to show you guys all the 1911s, and then we'll actually go through and review the different ones. But something about the 1911s. I love them.
You haven't seen his Tankfolio Witness that's all decked out with Airgun Detectives. It is sweet.
Yeah, in fact, you can see it in the background on my Airgun Detective channel. You'll see it in the background. It's engraved Airgun Detectives. But I tell you, those are one of my favorites because you can completely disassemble them, completely. Strip them down to everything can come apart on those. Yep. And then you can work on them and do your different things. But anyway, so all of a sudden it became an addiction for me, and I started just buying more guns, buying guns. Oh, I like that one. I buy that one. I work some overtime, have some extra money. Oh, I'm going to buy this one. I'm going to buy that one. Next thing you know, my collection got to about 300 different guns, 300 different air guns, wow, which is pretty crazy. In fact, one of these days, I'm going to give you guys a tour in my garage because I pretty much ran out of storage. I have 2 garages, and they're both full of air guns in different shelves and different locations. It's crazy. It's funny. Mentally, I kind of know where everything is, too. But yeah, hey, that one's supposed to be over here. This one's supposed to be over there. That's why occasionally I try to thin out my collection because I'm getting new ones in. I got to get rid of some of the other ones. So, but anyway, and then watching these review videos, I was thinking to myself, I bet I could do this. I think I could do better. And no offense to anyone out there. I just said, I have a serious firearms background. I'd like to bring those expertise and just do this as a hobby, and maybe some people will benefit for it because I have such a passion for it. I mean, listen to me talking about it. I'm going a mile a minute here because I do have such a passion for air guns. So I thought to myself, well, let me share this with other people, and maybe they'll get hooked just like I did, or maybe they'll, for the first time in their life, they'll get into air guns and really enjoy it because it's something your entire family can do it. I mean, Moose, you have your son messing around with the air guns right now a little bit, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Why you got the big Red Ryder?
Yeah. I was posting pictures of him. We were down in the basement earlier today, and I said, hey, man, you want to go outside? And he was like, yep. And he walked right by his Red Ryder and slung it around his neck. And I was like, where are you going? And he goes, I'm going outside to play with my Red Ryder. And I was like, okay. And nice. I got snapshots. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Yep.
But it's something for the whole family. I mean, seriously, I don't care. My wife loves to shoot. She doesn't like the heavier break barrels that have the big recoil. So she likes the PCPs and a couple of the other ones. I've got Mike put together a Beeman, the R7. And I had her shoot that a little bit. She can cock it because it's, the cocking effort is very limited. So I'm going to set that up for her she likes to shoot with a scope. So I'm going to set her up. But she's actually, what I told her, I'm going to set this up for you, but you're going to owe me a review. I'm going to feature her and have her do the shooting in one of my reviews, just for something a little different. She's a really good shot. She really is. When we first started shooting together, because, I figure, okay, I'm going to instruct her about this and this. I could not believe her trigger control, how good she was with the trigger right off the bat. So anyway, we got to get more into that. But so anyway, I said, you know what, when I retire, I did, guys didn't know, I did 30 years in law enforcement. I retired as a detective sergeant, but I did all kinds of different assignments. In fact, I ran the beach enforcement team down on, called the Pacific Beach Mission Beach area, right? So I had a beach team for several years, almost a decade there. In fact, we were even featured in, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a show on, I can't even remember the network, but it was called Beach Patrol. It was Beach Patrol, and they'd feature the lifeguards, and then my team was featured a lot on that episode. It was not a Discovery Channel, but it was one of those. It was a smaller, but it was a cable channel. So that was pretty cool, actually. But anyway, so I did a extensive law enforcement career. So I said, you know what? I still like guns. I still like to shoot. I'm going to need something as a hobby. Let's do some videos and just kind of see where it goes. And this thing's growing. It keeps growing and growing. And now I'm just so curious of how big we can actually make it. And I'm going to tell you what's amazing. It's allowed me to meet people like you, Moose, and a bunch of other people. And it's just, there's some really good-hearted, great people out there, and I just appreciate them all. And it really it reinforced my belief in mankind, especially when I got sick, and I was seriously sick. And for those of you who don't know, I did get COVID in January, and I was in the hospital for 8 days, and I was in ICU for 4, and it really made me do a lot of thinking about what's really important in life and it's not. Almost to the point where I did do an intro video while I was laying in a hospital bed. And believe it or not, there's some people that sent me messages saying that I was lying. I didn't have COVID. And I'm thinking, who in their right mind would ever want to lie about having COVID or being sick? You know, it's just, the funny thing is you get all kinds. But 99% of you guys out there are just amazing people. And I appreciate you watching. I really do. But anyway, so getting into these videos, I figured, hey, let's see how well we can do. And it's just been taken off. And I get a lot of very positive comments. But I tell you, the best thing about it is the people that have reached out to me in the different emails, the communications that I've had, because those are people that I would have never met or talked to if it wasn't for doing this type of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, right. What's the chances of you hanging out with a dirty biker like me?
Yeah, there you go.
But it's cool. It is cool. And, you know, and I mean, what's the chances of a dirty biker like me hanging out with the next cop?
Yeah.
But,
there you go.
You know, you're absolutely right. It's this hobby has, like, I mean, I've been doing this for 4 months and I'm almost at 1,200 subs on YouTube. And,
yes.
You know, and I can't thank my subscribers and the people that have supported me enough for that. You know, I mean, you know, I had like 110 subscribers on that channel prior to changing its name. You know, where I did just some slack fishing, you know, and stuff. But, you know, it is. And Skinny Mitch, you're absolutely right, man. The best thing about air gunning is the camaraderie and brotherhood. You know, you have people come out and help you. You know, exactly, man. It is. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, there's been times where, you know, like there's a guy, Doug Dishler, man. I can't thank that dude enough. You know, I mean, I wanted a side shot for my scopes, you know, and the guy sent me one just like out of the blue, like, here, man, like, give me your address. I'm going to send it to you. And I was like, what? Like, I mean, that's like $200. And he's like, dude, don't worry about it. And, you know, and it's stuff like that to help my channel to grow and, you know, be able to bring better and better content. And, you know, and I'm still trying to figure my channel out. You know, I mean, there's a lot of it where, you know, like, for me, like, I've only got 25 yards out of my walkout basement. You know, I live on the lake, and, you know, I've only got like a third of an acre. So, you know, I don't have a huge stretch, but 10 minutes away from me is my sportsman's club, and we have, you know, 100-yard, 50-yard,
which is awesome. Yes.
And then on top of that, we've got a 50-foot indoor range. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of new video stuff coming out from me and, you know, moving forward with, you know, with my content, you know, filming at the Sportsman's Club. So, yeah, I'll be able to put together a lot more. But, yeah, I just, you know, but anyway, continue with your story, man, because I'm eating it up. This is cool.
Yeah. That's funny. But anyway, yeah, so. Yeah, then I started thinking, okay, what I want to do is I noticed there were so many different review videos, and guys would specialize in either PCP rifles or they would specialize just in the CO2 pistols or things. I said, I want to do it all. I want to do both of it. I want to do pistols. I want to do brake barrels. Do I lean a little bit towards brake barrels? I'll confess, I do. I lean a little more towards the brake barrels and under levers because I don't have to worry about an air source because I can just grab the thing, go out and shoot. Now, I do have 3 scuba tanks and a pump. I got a couple of hand pumps in the other. So I'm set up for the PCPs as well. But there's just something about grabbing that air rifle and going out. And it's a little bit more challenge to shoot those brake barrels because, you know, you really got to hold those things steady. And that's when I started thinking about my bipods because I started looking at these and talking to all the old timers. They're like, you can't shoot brake barrels off of bipods. You've heard it. You've heard it many a times. And yeah, you can't shoot brake barrels off the bipods that clamp around the barrel. It doesn't work because it puts a little more pressure on the barrel. You need the gun to be able to rest, just like, so you look at the theory of how you shoot one of these brake barrels off a bag. You usually put your hand under it, cup it, and you set it down like that. There's a few that you can actually rest on the bag and shoot them. So I wanted to come up with a stable platform for these air guns. So I tried, I can't tell you the different rails, the different bipods I tried putting together, and I finally found a combination. And then generation 1, they were bipods that I just found a company that had them. And I put the rails together. I put the whole kit together because you had to find the right rails, because not any rails will work, because you need one that's going to be smooth enough that you're going to be able to attach it to the stock. As you know, I sent you one there, Moose. So anyway, what happened is that the guy that when I first started these generation 1s, they completely couldn't get any more. And maybe it had something to do with COVID or what have you, but they couldn't get them anymore. So that's why we went through such a drought. So I said, you know what? I want to see about putting my own together. And that was kind of a nightmare, because I tried working with 2 or 3 different companies and they would disappear on me. We'd get halfway into it and then I would never hear from them again. So I got really lucky, and a friend of a friend was an engineer locally here, and he recommended me to a buddy who was another engineer that had connections all over. And we had lunch one day, and he said, well, what are you looking for? And I kind of told him, and I told him the changes that I wanted to do. And he says, let me work on it. Next thing you know, it got rolling, and generation 2 got developed, which I'm ecstatic about. And we're constantly looking for little improvements, because I know there was a couple guys that complained their bipod wasn't locking out, and that was simply just a little of the powder coating got in the mechanism, and you worked it back and forth, it was fine. But we're always trying to improve it. But how I improved those, as you guys know, went with some rubber feet, shortened up a couple of the tension bolts, and did some other things. But they're working out really well. But I put them on so many different guns. Before I ever even thought about selling them, I put them on so many different guns, and I could not believe how well they worked. And not to mention, they're great just to set the gun down with, just to display it. It works quite well. So there's so many avenues, as you know, Moose, that next thing, there's so many directions that this opens up. It really does. Just getting into the air guns, getting into the reviews, different contacts, different ideas are coming up left and right. And I do want to thank another guy too, Mike Millick. I've known Mike for years, Flying Dragon Air Guns. He's just a world of knowledge. And if you guys don't know, I don't just shoot air guns. I tune them, I tear them apart, I rebuild them, I do all of it, coming up with different things. And I love it all, the whole balance of the whole thing. And people don't really realize that how easy it is really to work on these air guns. If you're mechanically inclined, it's not an overly difficult process. But Mike was always just such a world of knowledge for me. So I do got to reach out and thank him. He's kind of been in the air gun business forever. And he's good man, good people. Very good.
One of these days, I'm going to buy one of those Escos.
Yes. I have 3 of them.
Yeah. And I don't know why I haven't, I'll have a little extra money set aside, and I'll be like, all right, and then I'll pull up his webpage, and, I'll put it in the cart, and then I don't know whatever happens. I just don't know. But, I've seen people review them, and I mean, they seem like pretty decent little PCPs, to be honest with you.
Yeah. In fact, I still have, because I reviewed 2 of the 177s and a 22. I have a 25 caliber he sent me, sitting in the garage. I still need to review that one for you guys. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that one performs. So we'll see.
Right.
Those are actually pretty frugal on air, and the other ones were pretty doggone accurate. And then he does a couple things. He'll open up the transfer port for you and do a couple little extra things at no additional charge, which is kind of cool. So we'll see. And I do have one of those, what is it, an XS28. It's basically the Ruger Air Magnum. It's just their version, but it has a wooden stock.
Nice.
So, yeah, those are actually, that's a break barrel. And that's actually a pretty nice gun. That's all tuned up and rolling as well. Trying to think. Yeah, like I said, this has been a very, very time-consuming hobby, I have to say. I took this on as a retirement hobby we were talking about.
Right.
But now, if you guys don't know, all my review videos, I do them all by myself, 100%. I don't have anybody working cameras. They're just tripods set up. I set everything up. I test the guns ahead of time. And then I do all my own editing. That's kind of an interesting story on its own. I knew nothing about editing, zero. Thanks to YouTube, it took me about 2 months, and I self-taught myself how to edit, and I got better and better. And honestly, I'm going to tell you guys, it's one of my favorite things to do, and I'll do it till 2 and 3 in the morning. But I sit at my desk, I have it, and it's almost like creating artwork, because you're trying to piece this together, because I want to give you guys the best view possible when I'm doing these, so you guys can get a feel for the gun and what it's going through. And it's a process, but it's actually really enjoyable, that process of it. But it's time consuming. I'll spend 6 to 8 hours on every video just editing, and not to mention shooting a video. That takes an entire day plus, and not to mention the day before, 2 days before, just working with the gun, sight it in, see how it works, see how it performs, just get familiar with it. That way we can give it a fair review, because I think it's really unfair just to take a gun out of the box and then try to shoot it. You got to be a little bit familiar with it, of how the gun shoots, how to hold it, and then choosing pellets. You guys know that's a process and a half, especially with these pretty much any air rifle, but these break barrels and the underlevers, oh my God, some of them are so pellet picky. And it's not so much we pick the pellet, the rifle will pick the pellet. You just got to run the different ones through and find out and see how they group.
Right.
And I tell this to a lot of people that in the break-in stages on these break barrels, as you know, Moose, you got to shoot a couple hundred rounds to them before you even think about what your grouping is going to do, because you just got to work them through, and then you go through the different pellets, and then you find out where your best grouping is, and then you officially sight that thing in when you find that special pellet. And it takes some time. It takes some time to figure that stuff out. But in all fairness, if you want to be fair to the gun, you need to find that pellet so you can show what the best potential of that air gun is going to be.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how many tins of pellets I have.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous amounts of pellets. I mean, shoot, I was just rearranging some of my stuff. I mean, I have over 35 tins of just 30 caliber pellets.
That's crazy.
And they're all the same. There's no difference. They're all the same weight, but that's what I shoot for bench rest. And and now that I'm a sponsored bench rest shooter, I want to make sure that I have enough pellets that I can weigh my pellets and and have them ready to go for competitions and things like that. Just crazy. And I mean 177s. I mean, now I'm starting to get back into 177, and 22 has kind of always been my favorite caliber.
That's mine, and maybe it's because I have larger hands and they're just much easier to deal with. And the 177s are always so small,
Right. I mean, like 35 caliber pellets. I mean, I have an impact. It's a 35 caliber impact.
Yeah.
And those things are monstrous. But
those and the 30 calibers.
And 30 cals are easy to pick up, but and then I have arthritis too, so getting into even 22s. But no, honestly, I mean the reason that I like 22s and why it's my favorite caliber is because you still get 500 the majority of the time in a tin of pellets. And for the same amount of money. Once you hit that 25 cal, you start getting 300 to 350. Then you get into 30 cal and you only get 150, and then you get into 35 and you're only getting 100. So you're talking about 100 pellets at at $18 for a tin of JSBs, or anything else for that matter, FX pellets, and you're talking 18-20 cents a piece now. So it's just cost effectiveness, and obviously 22 is going to dispatch any critter that if you're a pester, and you're into hunting or anything, and that's why I bought my HW 97K in 22 cal.
Yes,
because I want to be able to take
one of my favorites.
Yep.
I love that HW 97. I did a.
I'm going to tell you, before I pulled the trigger on that, I actually watched your video on the TX200 Mark III, and I was actually going to buy that gun, but the problem was I couldn't get one in walnut stock. They had them in beech, but I don't want beech. I wanted walnut, and so I was kind of like, and like I didn't want to just buy the gun to own the gun. I want to get the one that I want.
Yes.
So that's when I looked at the HW 97K. and was like, I mean, I can't get that in walnut. It only comes in beech. But then I noticed that they have the blue laminate, and and I was like, comparable gun. I'm still going to buy a TX200.
I was just going to say that you're still going to buy it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, actually, in like 5 days, they're supposed to be in stock. So, I'll buy one then. But, and also, watching a lot of your videos, it's kind of gotten me back into, one thing that when I started this channel, I was like, listen, I don't want to just review expensive air guns. And Lord knows I have ridiculously expensive air guns. I've spent way too much money on high-end air guns, and you start to think about, you can have a lot of fun with a really inexpensive air gun. And in the gambit of things, I mean, just recently, I was showing you one of them, my Sheridan, my Benjamin C9A, those things, they're pumpers, but man, dude, they're accurate as all get up. My 1377, my 1322 pumper pistols, and I mean, just accurate as all get up, man. These things are just a load of fun. Couple of pop cans out in the yard, and you got nothing but time just to have a good time and shoot pop cans off the deck.
And as I mentioned in my last review, because you got to pump it up, it's very frugal on pellets because you're not going through them really fast.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah, you don't get arm cannons like JC's got. An air gun here or there. But huge shout out to Denny from Flatbroke Air Gunner. He sent me this cool ass jersey today. Airguns of Michigan. Sorry, I'm looking at myself backwards in the camera. And it even says Moose on the back, which is super cool. Denny, man, I love you, man. Thank you so much for the jersey. It fits like a glove. I appreciate it. So,
yeah, I'm sure that has to be at least a 4XL there, Moose.
This is actually a 3XL.
Oh,
so
okay.
I do normally wear a 4XL because it's not. I can fit any 3XL, but the problem is I'm one of those guys with short little legs and I have a tall upper torso. Yeah. So, and then I've got some excess weight in the midsection.
We all do. We all do, for sure.
Yeah, come on, man. Anytime you want to have a belly up, you let me know. But I can actually belly laugh. But I mean, I usually get 4Xs because they're longer, and when I reach my hand up to say, "Hey, here I am," my belly doesn't come flopping out all over the place. But no, this one actually fits really, really well. But,
it's a good looking shirt, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good looking jersey, that's for sure.
Yep. So Denny, the Flatbroke Air Gunner, man, I appreciate it. And I got something really special coming up in a video that I'm going to be doing with my son, and it has everything to do with Denny over at the Flatbroke Air Gunner. So what's up? Ask me, what's my opinion on AEA air rifles? I'm looking for a 25 cal. I'm going to touch on this really super lightly because we do have JC on tonight, and we're going to continue with his story. But I have a 25 caliber Challenger, and it's meh. That's what I'm going to say. It shoots extremely fast. It is what it is. It's hard to compare. Listen, man, I tell everybody, if you've got $500 burning a hole in your pocket, go buy yourself a Benjamin Marauder. It will change the way that you look at every other air gun that you will ever buy. The trigger on it, the accuracy on it, the consistency. It's just a phenomenal air rifle. And, and I know there's a lot of other companies out there that are putting out, these guns, and they're screaming fast. I'm shooting 25s at 1,000 feet per second, but it's not about speed. It's about accuracy. And
absolutely, accuracy is everything. You know that.
Absolutely. I mean, and I beat this like a dead horse, man. I mean, I've gotten some air guns that at 25 yards, they're grouping like this. And I've had people say, that's not a bad group. That's a horrible group. I mean, it's a horrible group. I mean, my my Hudson Bull Boss puts groups like this at 25 yards, and that's screaming fast itself. So, you know, just to get on that subject, get off that subject. I'm going to be putting out a review on the Challenger anyway. I'm just finishing up a little bit of work that I'm doing to it, but you know, it's not a bad gun. You know, I think you can get better for the same money? Absolutely. So, but
and Flat Broke Air Gunner, thank you for subscribing to Airgun Detectives. More the merrier.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you at now? Are you at what are you at? Just under 10,000?
20, a little over 20,000.
Holy cow! I was way off the mark. Yeah. I don't know, who was I looking at earlier that was like,
no, a little over 20.
Wow.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll keep growing. Yeah, what's the most exciting part is the views. I think we're at 1.8 million views now.
Wow.
And I didn't start this that long ago. I did less than 2 years. So,
right.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. But I told you guys, the best part is getting to know this group out there. And I feel that, I'm sure you guys are feeling you're getting to know me because you get to see me, but I get the messages and I get the emails from some of you frequently. And it's just great to be part of this. It really is. Yeah. Like I said, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have met you, Moose.
Right. Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah.
I think, I don't even remember why I reached out to you. I reached out to you for something.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. You sent me that great intro with your embroidering machine. You remember?
Was that the original? Was that when I reached out to you?
I think you reached out to me initially saying, "Hey, I'm late for the contest, but I want to submit."
That is what I did. Yeah. And that embroidery machine sitting right there.
And I still have that.
Embroidered out. Stay tuned.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
And
that's fantastic. And if you guys don't know, all my intros, they're random. I just try to do something different. Kind of reminding you would probably know about this, Moose. You remember the old E.F. Hutton commercials? Out of nowhere, someone would say E.F. Hutton and they all freeze, right? It was like a brokerage firm years ago. So I kind of wanted something like that with Airgun Detectives. And the whole idea is you just doing whatever, and then someone says, stay tuned for Airgun Detectives. And it's kind of caught on. It's actually a lot of fun. The intros are actually a lot of fun. And I got my daughter and her boyfriend and my wife and just different people helping me out all the time with different intros, which is always fun. So,
as a matter of fact, I'm going to incorporate part of one of my contests coming up. So, like, I give away air guns, JC. That's kind of my gig, right? Like, we've given away on Umarex Origin. We just gave away Cattleman's. And then now I have an Acelcon MX7 S. So it's a short compact version that is my next giveaway, and that'll be the end of June. And then hopefully at Christmas time, I'm trying to work out all the details. I'm trying to give away an FX air gun. But and two of the guns, so the last two guns have been donated to me to give away, which is really cool. I definitely appreciate the people that have done that, Victoria at Cattleman's and Jason at armory.net, who is the importer for Acelcon air guns. We're like, I want to do something to where, maybe we'll talk off camera, and maybe we'll do something, and we'll try to get you some more cool intros.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
we'll do some kind of cool giveaway with something like that.
We can figure something out. We'll come up with something.
We'll figure something out for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so if you guys don't know, I was talking about I do all the editing, but in addition to all the editing on all my videos, set it all up, I'm also handling my website. I handle all the sales on my website. I personally package everything. I ship it. I'm a one-man show. So when we say Airgun Detectives, it's plural, but it's actually really Airgun Detective. Initially, when I was going to put this together, I have a very good friend who's goes by Max, and he was originally going to start this with me, but he moved. He moved to a different location. He's an hour away, and he just doesn't have the time. He had so many things going, so I had to go it solo. but he occasionally will still come down and hang out with me, and I'm going to feature him on one of these videos in the future. But he was the plural, and I still hope to have him, involved in this at some level, because he's a great guy. He was a detective that worked with me for years, and he's retired also. He actually got to jump on me. He retired a couple years before me. So,
no, do you deer hunt?
I used to. I don't anymore.
Right.
I don't anymore. I don't know. Maybe I got soft in my later years. And to be honest with you, Moose, I was raised because I did hunt. I deer hunted. I did wild boar. I did. I used to go all the pheasant hunting, dove hunting, did all that stuff. If I don't enjoy eating it, then I won't do it, because I was raised that way. And I even mentioned it. I said, look, I really don't shoot it unless I eat it. And then people go, well, what about a rat? Come on, guys. Pest control is completely something different. I'm talking about hunting. I don't hunt animals unless I'm going to eat it. It's just the way it is. It's just my own personal principles. I mean, other people are trophy hunters and what have you. That's their issue. It's just my issue. I don't look bad or down on people that don't. It's just that's what I do. So to answer your question, I used to, but I don't anymore.
Right on. Well, I was going to invite you out to Michigan for deer season.
There you go.
I'm going to do it with Airguns this year. So.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What are you thinking you're going to use?
Well, I already bought it.
Okay.
I have an Air Force Texan 457 LSS.
That should do it.
So yeah. It's putting out 600 foot-pounds of energy out of a 350 grain slug.
That should do it. So
yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And that might be a good that whole experience might have to be shared with your viewers.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to buy an ATN scope just so I can record the actual hunt.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When I was a kid, if you'd have told me you could hunt deer in the future with an air gun, I'd be like, you're nuts.
Right. I had to pump 3 pellets in that bunny just to get him to stop.
Exactly. Which is crazy. But yeah, so I stay really, really busy. And then I mentioned in a couple of review videos back, I was in the middle of remodeling my kitchen. That's about 99% done. But guess what's next? The master bathroom. So I got to hit that. So this takes up a lot of time, but I enjoy it. This is my hobby, and then I got to take care of other things. And all I say is, thanks God I'm retired from one job, and now I'm doing another.
Right.
But this one, and I have to say too, it worked out really well for me, because you saw little Sally, my mother. She was in a few of the intros, and if you haven't seen them, you must see the intros that she was in, because they're hysterical. And then I did some outtakes with her on one of them.
Oh, the outtakes with her in the car, and you're like, Mom, you got to hold the gun up.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
Don't sweep anybody with it.
Yeah. But the great thing is, what this allowed me to do is to be at home. And what happened is my mother, before she passed, obviously about 1.5 years or so, she came down with some dementia, Alzheimer's. So she needed some extra care. So my wife and I moved her into the house. So we had her. So I would take care of her during the day and what have you. My wife would go to work, and then I would do this stuff during the day. And then I could still allow me to walk my mother, but especially with COVID and everything that was going on, this was an absolute fantastic opportunity that I could spend time doing this. So it really helped, just doing the whole Airgun Detectives thing.
Right.
So it really helped. So then one day I was thinking, hey, Mom, would you like to do some intros? And she's like, well, what's that? And I said, well, let me show you. See, and she was such a good sport. I tell you, my mother, what a wonderful, wonderful person. I was just mentioning this the other day. She's one of the few people in my entire life that I've never really heard her complain about anything. And she didn't have many wants or needs. And it was amazing. You would have to, if you're going to buy her something for Christmas or that, oh no, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. You'd actually have to force it on her. But she would never tell you that she needed anything. She was one of those. And every conversation you have with her, she turns it on you. She's interested about you, not so much about her, And she was an amazing person.
That's a special breed of people. My grandma was like that.
Yeah.
And actually, yesterday was the anniversary of my grandma's death. She's been dead for 9 years now, and it breaks my heart, 'cause my grandma raised me, and but she was the exact same way. I mean, You know, like I'd come into the house after a bad day, and she only wanted to hear my story. She didn't, you know, same way. Never complained about a thing a day in her life. You could tell my grandma would be in pain. She would never let you.
That's funny you said that, Moose. That's funny you said that. My mother was exactly the same way. My wife was just giving that example at the other day. Because you'd ask her, "Are you all right? Is your leg hurt?" "Oh no, I'm okay." And she'd go limping off.
Right. And here I am. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it. You know, but you know, I mean, yeah, it's just it must be a man thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it must have been. But yeah, it was. Oh my God, it was a hoot doing those intros with her because she was such a sport. And then I'd say, "Look, I'm going to put you on TV," you know, and I would play the video up on the big screen in the living room, and she'd go, "Oh my God, who is that horrible woman?" She's so funny. She had such a sense of humor too. Such a sense of humor.
You could definitely tell, man. That video, man, like touched my heart when I saw it. You know, with just all the outtakes and. You know,
and I'm glad. So some people got to see kind of how little Sally was, and we nicknamed her Little Sally because she's very little. She was like 5'3", you know.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen these videos, you need to go back to Airgun Detectives and check them out. The one that cracked me up the best was when she went to the trunk of the car and pulled the gun out of the front. And I was just like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like it is just so cute, just to see this little old lady. Just, you know, reach into the car and pull out this great big pistol.
And then the one with the truck where it looks like there's a body in the back of it. And she's like, "What are you going to do with this?" Or, "We got to get rid of this." That's what she said. "We got to get rid of this."
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. But you know, those
ladies and gentlemen, Dexter.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But but I'll tell you, those memories, you know, they're well, let's say they're imprinted forever on YouTube, which is really cool.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And you know, and I mean, that's exactly why, like, I have a segment as part of my videos where it's in the woods with buck and moose. And, you know, I take my 4-year-old out into the woods because I figure, you know, someday he's going to get older. And, you know, and maybe I'll be around, maybe I won't be around, but one way or the other, he'll still be able to go back and view those videos and be like, "Dude, that's my dad. Like, this is what I grew up doing."
Exactly.
Like, my dad didn't have just videos that he kept around on his computer. My dad put it on the internet so that everybody could see how me and my dad interacted. You know, of course, my son's going through terrible 4s right now, so we don't always react or interact in the best of ways. But he's a strong-minded little crap, that's for sure. He's something special. But you know, I just look forward to, and I thank God every day for you know, being able to spend more and more time with him. So it's very cool.
This is true. And those memories, man, they can never be taken away from you. And let me tell you something, they grow up really fast. Time flies.
Oh yeah. I still can't believe he's, you know, like 4.5. I mean, it seems like yesterday my wife was on the couch with a huge belly, and we were talking about how this is like our life's changed. I mean, you know, it's kind of funny, but my wife wasn't supposed to be able to have children, and you know, I had I'd been married before, and unfortunately, my ex passed away. So I already had 2 daughters. And then when I met my wife and she informed me that, you know, "Hey, just so you know, I can't have kids," I was like, "Hey, believe me, I don't really want more kids either. You know, I mean, like, no, it's good. Like, I've got 2, we can have all the fun we want with 2 daughters." And, you know, and then, I don't know, man, I don't know. I guess as I got older, I started realizing that, you know, I really do want a son. Like, I think it'd be cool. And I remember praying about it and just telling God that, you know, "Hey, if you'll bless me with a son, I promise I'll raise him the best I can." And I kid you not, man, like 6 months later, I come home to my wife with a card, and she's 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
And just had no idea. I mean, she assumed that she couldn't have kids, and, you know, and just, you know, here we are, and we're just like, man, our lives are about to change. You know, like, I mean, we're older. I mean, I'm going to be 62 when he graduates high school. 62. I'm only 47 now. Like, you know, I'm about to be 48, but still, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I mean, dude. So, you know, now of course I'm trying to become healthier, and you know, I'd like to be around when he graduates high school. You know, not, you know, I mean, and actually, ironically enough, I mean, we just lost another friend of ours, a brother of mine, in a motorcycle accident. And my wife and I were talking about it the other day, and she said, you know, I wouldn't be mad if you got rid of the bike. And, you know, honestly, I think I'm going to. You know, I've lost a lot of friends over the last couple of years to, you know, not them being idiots on their bikes, being hit by people. And, you know, and
well, they don't see you. That's the problem. Every time they just don't see you.
Right. And now that I've got a son, you know, and it's like he's little, it's like, man, you know, I don't want to test God any more than I have to. You know, I mean, he's done a great job keeping me alive this long. So, you know.
Well, if you sell that bike, think about all the other air guns you can buy.
I know, right?
Right.
I still want to buy a Day State, and
there you go.
A couple of Zabrias I'd like to have.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, Mike, I feel you, man. Listen, dude, we have a boat out back, and it's kind of treacherous taking a 4-year-old out on a pontoon boat because he wants to drive, and if you touch the steering wheel for any reason, he will lose his cookies in the middle of the lake. And I mean, we're talking milk and cookies everywhere, dude. It's bad, but you know. Yeah. But either way, anyway, sorry, man. I don't mean to keep getting off subject, but so
I think our subjects, whatever we talk about, no big deal.
You know, and you know, it's funny that you bring up editing, because I start my GoPro, and when I'm done with my video, that's it. And whatever happens in between is what goes on film. And you know, and you know, I still struggle with like trying to line up, like if I run my side shot scope cam, like try to get my shots in sync with what's actually taking place. So I pull the trigger and then it shoots. Most of the time, I just decided that, you know what, from now on, when I go on to scope cam, I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to let the GoPro on the scope cam pick up the video and just shoot my string, and then go back to the original GoPro after I'm done shooting. Because like, I don't know how you guys do it. I just don't. I can't figure out how to, you know, I can get it really close, but it's always just off. Like I'll be talking, like I'll shoot and then I'll talk, and I'll be like, yeah, so there's shot 1, and then all of a sudden on the target you'll see shot 2, and then you'll see me go back to the gun and pull the trigger, and it's like it's just all out of whack. But you know,
you remember I said 2 months of YouTube watching to learn the editing.
Yeah.
I use 3 cameras too. I use 3 cameras.
Yeah, I noticed you have one behind you, one facing you, and one at the target.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly. And then I move them around however I need them. But like I said, it's all about just trying to give, you know, the viewers just that experience of being there with the gun. And one of the things, Moose, and you're just like me, is when I decided to do this, I said, I don't care if someone sends me a gun to test for them or I purchase a gun, you're going to get 100% honest feedback. If the gun sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. And you've seen some videos where I said that. Okay.
Right.
But the point is, if it's not a good gun, I'm going to tell you it's not a good gun. If it's okay, it's okay. But, and I think I would want that information. If I'm watching a video and we've all seen them, we've all seen some of these guys doing some airgun videos, and you can tell that they're dependent on that income, and they're dependent on that's going to be a great, you know, review on a gun. And I've had the same gun and going, what are you talking about? This thing is nothing like what you're claiming it is. So one thing I'll do no matter what is I'll be honest. I'll be honest and straight up, because if you don't have integrity, you've got nothing. Right.
Right. You know, and I mean, I'm going through it with one of the guns that I have to review right now. And, you know, I just don't feel comfortable telling people that this is the gun you should go spend money on. Like, I just don't. And, you know, and I keep struggling with it because the owner of that company is a great person. It's just.
Well, the only thing I can say is maybe by the I call it constructive criticism, because maybe they can improve it. Maybe they'll be open to improving it. That's all I can say is maybe they'll be open. But I would rather you be honest. You know, you and me, wouldn't you rather be honest with someone and get their honest opinion than have them, you know, piss in your leg and tell you it's raining, right?
Right, right, exactly. And and I mean, we have a lot of conversations like that even on these lives. I mean, we had one the other night over the Hotsons, and and I made it very clear that I'm not a huge Hotson fan. It's just me, and and I've got three of them.
It's not just you. They all need some work.
They do, and that's what I base my opinion on. It's like, can the gun be improved by you? Yes, but if I tune my, let's say I take my Bull Boss, right, and I tune that sucker, and believe me, and I've shot a very well tuned Bull Boss that was phenomenal. Like, it is nothing like my Bull Boss straight out of the box. But if I go in and I do all this work to this gun and I get this gun shooting like $1 million, and then I review that and I say, hey, this is what I did, and blah blah, and then somebody goes out and spends their hard-earned $400 or $500 on that gun and gets it home, they're not only going to unsubscribe from me, they're going to give me thumbs down on every one of my videos because I'm full of crap and this. So I would rather tell people, like, hey, listen, once again, and I reverted to this 100,000 times, and I know that you have them as well. The Marauder, the Kratos, the Cadence. I mean, the Aquila. Those are guns that you can go out and buy, and you are not going to be unhappy with that gun. You may want to purchase something better later on. But you're never going to get one of those guns and be like, this thing's a hunk of junk.
No, you won't, because you're going to like the accuracy. It takes a little bit of trigger adjustment if you want to do a little polishing, and I don't consider that stuff major work. That's just the minor adjustments is what we'll talk about that. But yeah, I have to just go back and touch on the Hotsons. Yeah, like they come up with these triggers, right? And honestly, I'll show you guys in one of these reviews, like the brake barrels, the underlevers. That what's the name of the trigger on there? I'm running a blank here. The trigger on the Hudson, it's their famous trigger. I don't know. That's what happens when you turn 57. By the way. Right. Yeah. As I don't remember that. But anyway, you just change one little spring in that, and you can take 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds off the trigger. So here's my question, and all you guys are going to agree with this. Why can't these airgun manufacturers figure this out and put decent triggers on everything? It doesn't cost much more money at all. Every gun I get, it's always I'm taking the trigger apart, seeing how I can improve it. And 90% of the time, I improve the trigger. And I'm thinking, why doesn't the manufacturer just do this in the first place? Instead, they're going to give you a 6-pound trigger when they can be giving you a 2.5, 3-pound trigger. To me, I can never figure that out. And some of it is such an easy fix.
Yep. I agree. And, and honestly, when I first started getting in heavy into air guns, and and I would play with some of these triggers, I'd be like, oh, it's just a trigger, it's fine. Then I got a Marauder, and I realized, holy crap, that's
night and day. Yep.
Then I got a couple of other guns, and I realized, wow, triggers are really nice. And then I got a BSA, and then I realized, holy junk. And now I've got this HW97K coming, and this is a world-renowned Raker trigger.
Those are those are absolutely my favorite. Right. One of the easiest to adjust. They're incredible.
Yep, absolutely. And and I just can't wait personally to get it and like feel it, and what I mean, and dude, listen, I've already ordered the Vortex power kit for it too. So
it's funny you mentioned that. I just was on the phone with Tom today.
Yep.
At Vortex. He's the one that puts those together. In fact, I'm going to put something special together in the future, show you guys some stuff about these, because I have probably at least a half a dozen of those kits that I've installed, and I really do like them. I really do. And he's got the Generation 3 one out now, which is actually pretty good.
Right.
But they really do smooth out the rifle. But I'm going to do a few reviews, and I'll be highlighting those and talking about them. So.
Well, good,
in the
because
future. Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody else's review on how to install one. I mean,
Yeah.
I got a pretty good idea. There's one guy out there, I can't remember who it is, but he did a really in-depth. Do they have better triggers than the Gamo?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you do buy my trigger screw, that will greatly improve the Gamo trigger if it's a cat or a sat trigger, and they're not a bad trigger. But honestly, that's like comparing a souped-up Honda to a M5 BMW when you're talking about triggers. Okay, those record triggers are off the chart. They're fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and what
honestly, yeah, my BSA, that trigger on that gun is like, it's like running a hot knife through butter, man. I mean, it is just that freaking smooth. What's up, says I'm just playing. I hope
just playing. But you know, the truth of the matter is, though, once you shoot one of those guns, like the HWs or the Beeman the R7s, the R9, they all have that same trigger.
Yep.
It's hard to go back to other triggers because you're like, oh my God, I just can't believe how nice and smooth that is. In fact, I have a couple of HW98 brake barrels that I have a 177, believe it or not, a 25 caliber. And I've got the G2 kit in both of those. I installed those. And oh my God, those are a couple of my most favorite brake barrels. They really are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to getting back, and I shouldn't say back into, but getting more into brake barrels. You know, I just, you know, the first couple of brake barrels I had, I have a Crosman Nitro Venom, and you know, and it's just, you know, it's a Magnum, you know, nitro piston, and it's just, you know, it's clang, and you know, and it jumps all over the place when it goes off. And then I bought the Benjamin Nitro Piston Trail XL, and that's another one, just like bang, goes off, and it's like, I mean, holy cow. I mean, it's got a twang to it, you know, but the more you look into some of these higher end brake barrels, you start to realize that the recoil is like way less, much more smooth. You know, granted, you know, you're not shooting at 1,000 feet per second in a 22 caliber, but you're certainly putting out enough power to dispatch.
And you're getting extreme accuracy, which makes all the difference in the world. I would rather drop a couple 100 feet per second and give me that precise accuracy any day of the week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my bench gun, you know, I mean, in 30 cal, and it's an impact, you know, I'm getting ready to tune that back down to about 850, you know, because I'm going to get better accuracy at 850 feet per second than I am at 905. You know, and not that 905 is bad accuracy, but the groups start to open up as opposed to shooting at 850 feet per second, 860 feet per second. You know, there are sweet spots for all those guns. And, you know, and once again, and I've said this 100 times, and JC has too, speed does not equate to accuracy. Speed equates to unstable. You know, I mean, you're going to have stability issues unless you're shooting slugs. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but slugs aren't cheap. And, you know, I mean, you know, if you shoot 10, 15 rounds a week, that's one thing. I shoot probably close to 500 to 1,000 shots every week. And that's just on my bench gun. I mean, I go through tins of pellets every single week, just consistently getting used to that gun. You know, and getting in that same position. And it's muscle memory, like we were talking about earlier. You know, it's the way that you hold your gun, the way that it anchors into your body. You know, the way my Crawford and Lipped, you know, buttstock, you know, mounts to my shoulder, exactly where it's hitting every single time. You know, it's that same cheek spot. You know, it's like shooting archery. You know, you draw your bow back and you know, I anchor in the corner of my mouth.
Right here. Yeah.
And it's that muscle memory. You know, if you raise that up or lower that down, you're going to get a different, you know, reaction from that bow. And it's the same with bench shooting. You know, I mean, everything's about consistency. So, you know, but
You're right.
Very cool. Very cool.
Consistency is everything.
Absolutely. So listen, JC, man, once again, dude, I really appreciate you joining me. And
well, I thank you for inviting me. This is a lot of fun. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, I hope so. And that was going to be my next statement, man, is I hope that you'll, join me here and there and, and talk about your channel and talk about what's coming up and, maybe
Absolutely.
utilize this as a way to, give sneak previews of what's coming down the pipeline from Airgun Detectives.
There you go. Yeah. We do have some fun stuff coming up. I do have to tell you. I've got several different guns that some of you have seen before, some of you haven't. And then we're going to go down memory lane too on some of these stuff. And what I say is summertime's coming, and summertime is CO2 time. Okay. That's the time we need that I'll show you more of the CO2 pistols and some of those. In the winter, it's just not, when it's cold, CO2s don't work that well. So, but like I said, it's about the whole variety. We're going to show you everything.
Yeah, air guns do have a lot to them. And, What's Up just said that, there is, like, for example, I'm tuning my new compact Maverick and, and there's a break-in period for PCP guns. Regulators need to settle in. The barrel needs to be settled in. Yes, I clean my barrels. Yes. And obviously I relet them. But pellets are dirty. So unless you're washing your pellets and lubricating them, I mean, they are leaving lead behind, and, accuracy will fall off if you don't clean your barrels once in a while.
Yes. Not like a firearm, but you do still need to.
Definitely not like a firearm. I mean, I mean, my bench gun, I usually clean it about every 500 rounds. Because I'll notice that my groups will start loosening up. I'll get a little bit of extra lead deposit in my barrel, and just, it's just time to clean it. The tuning that's involved in these guns and the ability that these guns have. I mean, listen, I take my bench gun out to my 100-yard range at the Sportsman's Club, and I got guys sitting next to me with, Creedmoors and, and just all kinds of stuff. And, when we turn on that light and everybody goes down and gets their targets, I love turning to the firearm guys and going, look at that, just over an MOA at 100 yards with an air gun. And theirs looks like a shotgun blast, and it's like, I mean, just the consistency that you can get from an air gun is impressive. It is impressive. So,
Well, thanks again, Moose. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's been about an hour. It's actually been an hour and 12 minutes. And I definitely appreciate it, man. You guys listen, man. I definitely appreciate it if you click the subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified of when I do these lives. I do these lives Monday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the exception of, if I'm not feeling well. But we're pretty consistent. We've been doing this for a couple of months now, and I definitely appreciate it. And, ring that bell, like I said. Give it a thumbs up if you appreciate the video. And I'm Moose. This is Airgun Detective, or this is Airgun.
That's all right. I like that.
That's JC from Airgun Detectives. And we'll catch you guys later on this week, actually tomorrow night. So until next time, take care, be good to each other, and God bless you.